Here I want to share with you how I use my brushes and what they do for my painting, like what kind of brush stroke it creates. Sometimes I use bristle brushes, not always, but sometimes. It has a nice tooth to it. It creates a really good texture in your painting, so I use that. Then I have a synthetic brushes by Silver Bristlon. And I like to use bright and flats because it creates a nice sharp edges and it retains the shape correctly. So I love those. It has a different sizes. So 2, 4, 6, 8 are my favorite. I also like to use the Rosemary and Company's ivory brush line, as well as the aspen brushes, aspen Princeton brushes, which is very similar to my silver bristlon brush. So I really like to use those. When I'm painting, I use a solvent-free gel. It's really a solvent-free, first of all, so it's good for environment. And it also helps me create a nice, good, juicy brush strokes. And sometimes when my paints are really thick, it helps me loosen up a little bit. So today I want to share with you how these brushes will help me create these brush marks and how I use them. And on this jar I have a Gamsol to clean my brushes and sometimes to thin the paint, so it has a different purpose. Now let's see if I can use a bristle brush. So let's start. As you can see, it just picks up all the paint on the surface. It creates a nice texture to it. But if I want to make a smoother brush mark, I can add a little bit of medium, which is solvent-free gel here. You can just add a little bit of different colors so you can see. See, it's more smooth brush stroke right here, and this is more textured brush stroke. So the bristle brushes retain their shapes, like the brush marks you got more visible, and this is how. And if you want to paint on top of it, let's say you want to create different information on top of it, you can just add more to it, like that. The next one I want to try is a synthetic brush, which is a silver bristlon size 10. I like the shape of the brushes. It just creates really beautiful, juicy brush strokes. And if I keep adding more medium, the color becomes more loose and more vibrant. And it's more like, thinly applied on your canvas. If I want to put some more information in it, these brush marks is not gonna be more visible like this one. You can create a thin line like this or sideways, depending on what's the need. So different brushes do different things. The next one I would say, and also if I want to make it even more thin, I can just add a little bit of Gamsol here and make it even more loose right here, like that. Then I have a filbert brushes, meaning the round shape. It has a little bit of curve on the top, and it's more circular. So this brush is very versatile, and it tends to make shapes, create different brush strokes as we speak. Okay. So, so you can move the brush accordingly. You can move sideways. You have to be very playful to create these amazing brush strokes. If you want to thin it out, just add more mineral spirit or medium, and you can have a nice thin paint on top. The second one I would say is like blending. For instance, if let's say I'm mixing some colors here, let's say it has green, and create a temperature shift, I can just add a little bit of warm color in it, and then you'll have a different temperature shift here. So different brushes do different things. For smaller brushes, I would say stick with the big brush because those are your best friends. The big brushes tends to block in the initial stages. The smaller brushes for the detail. For instance, I have a bright number 2 and filbert number 2. I mean, they both can do the same thing. So let's see if you want to put some more information on our first brush strokes. Let's say right here. So these small brush strokes are good for details. Doesn't necessarily mean every single detail out there. Just few of them is important. Okay, so same thing. For instance, this bristle brush marks here, I can just put a thin layer of the smaller brush mark on top, and you know it just shows compared to this one here. You know, it's not that interesting. So you have to keep that in mind. So let's say we can just try to paint like a grape maybe, okay? So how would you paint a grape? For instance, grape is like a big mass of shape which is color. So now I want to show you how I would use a round brush. It's not always I use, sometimes, but I like to see what it can do. So I'll mix some nice bright orange color, and let's see. Okay. So, so I had a green color. I just mixed up some green against that yellow, and what you can do, just go right next to it and then move your brush around, and it creates like a temperature shift in between. So the round brush is also very good when you're painting. It can create a nice line plus very, you know, broader brush strokes for your bushes and stuff in your landscape. Let's see, do some grays on top maybe. So I love to play with my tools. I call it a lab. You know, I love to play with my colors, my brushes, what it can do, and you know, the variety is something that I'm looking for. Variety of brush strokes, variety of colors, the temperature. Those are the things that excites me the most. So um, as you can see, different brushes do different things. For instance, let's say that's your green bush or a tree or something, and you want to add some more darker colors. You know, you can use a smaller brush and just add few information. In order to say what you want to say, you don't have to do a lot of things. You just have to add a tiny hint of information. For instance, like this, you know, um, and it tells you, okay, what is it that you're looking at, like that. And then, let's say if you want to put highlight, maybe you can use smaller brush. For instance, number 4 maybe, you know. So smaller brushes are good for details and stuff. Bigger brushes are for block ends. And, you know, like that. So I hope you enjoyed this.